things that we had to do to teach. He said, just put the big rocks in first. Oftentimes, he was like so many, he had been he was a former educator himself, but he said, oftentimes we spend time we waste time on minute things instead of talking about the whole picture. Because if you do the whole picture, the big things, you get the big things conquered, then you can fit the small things in. And it's just because he said a lot of times when you start putting small stuff in, by the time you get done putting the small stuff in, the big rock won't fit. And if you think about the context of a jar that you putting rocks in, if you put the sand grains and the pebbles, the small pebbles in first, it may halfway fill that jar. You might have 5 big rocks. They can only go in a certain way because they're big. And they'll stack in there and you can't even close the jar because it'll be too big. However, he was stating that when you put those big rocks in, you can pour the pebbles and the sand all around. They're gonna fit in wherever they are, and the jar it'll be completed. And it makes a lot of sense. And here's, to me, this lesson was essentially that. When we seek the big thing, which is God, we seek him first and his righteousness, and all these other things will be added in. So many times we seek, and we're all guilty of it, we seek a little extra money here, a little extra stardom here, a little extra something here, a little extra something there, and we forget, okay, I didn't ask God, I didn't give God, I'm not seeking to see what God wants me to do. And we wonder why it don't work. We wonder why our way don't work. And it's because we fail to put him first. We fail to come to him with a clean and pure heart. He didn't say we were going to be perfect. He didn't say come to me with a perfect heart. But we have to come into him in purity. We have to come to him with a clear conscience and a clear desire and request of what we want from him. I mean, that's all he wants. You know, God doesn't want us to sit up and when we pray and say, Lord, you know, if you can do this. He wants us to ask him for what we want. He wants us to pursue what we want. He wants us to be clear with what we want from him. And honestly, be clear with what we're going to do for ourselves. I mean, and that's where we have to get to the point of understanding. And in this lesson, he said, the lesson, like I said, it was so perfectly titled, Ask for What Really Matters. You know, a lot of times we ask for what we want, but do we ask for what we need? A lot of times we want what we want, but do we want what we need? Sometimes what we need is the stuff that we don't have. Or sometimes what we need is for the stuff that we do have to be moved out of the way. So we have to understand, no matter what, we have to learn to seek him first. We have to learn to be decisive in what we're asking of him first. You know, not you know, oftentimes, as in so many cases, we're indecisive about so many things. We're apprehensive about so many things. And here it is, God is, if he's God, is there anything he can't do, won't do? I mean, if we believe in him the way that we say that we do. And when we start to get to the point of getting ourselves out of the way and start to say, hey, undress me. It's going to be painful sometimes. It'll be embarrassing sometimes, but when we get to the point where we do it, we don't want him to come in and do it. You know how they say you'll do something willingly or forcefully, but choose your way. You're gonna do it. It's best for us to say, "Hey, Lord, you know, here am I. Here I am. Whatever situation I'm dealing with, I can't handle it. Is this what I really need? Because I do want it, but is this what I really need?" And when he answers or he doesn't answer and say yay or nay, I mean, we have to just understand, okay, if it's your will, and accept that and go on. So like I said, this particular lesson, it deals with essentially the Lord's Prayer. And the key verse was from this past Sunday was, thy kingdom come, thy will be done in earth as it is in heaven. And he didn't say our kingdom. He's, it's his kingdom, And when we understand that his kingdom is not just, a church. It's us, these individual temples that we have, this individual mindset that we have. We have to understand whatever it is, we want him to inhabit us in all ways, at all times. And we might as well be honest about that. And so, if anybody have anything they want to say right here as a commentary, just lead into this lesson, do so at this time. I'll get my words right in a minute. You're free to do so anytime. So just interject. Let's have a dialogue about this, about seeking God, about asking for the things that matter, about seeking the things that matter in our lives. Feel free to stop me anytime. So that lesson had some outcomes or objective or the aims. And in those lesson aims, it said, explore the place of the Lord's Prayer in the life of the church. So where's the Lord's Prayer as it relates to the church? And once again, not the church building, the church, us. Where does the Lord's Prayer stand with us in our daily walk? How do we come and ask him? How do we seek him? The next outcome from this lesson is for us to get the understanding of longing for the kingdom of the Lord's Prayer describes to be manifested in our lives. It said there, but I'm going to say our lives because we have to make it personal. And the last outcome, the last lesson aim is for us to pray the Lord's Prayer with deeper appreciation for its meaning. Oftentimes, we'll hear it in church, in church services. We'll do it at home. We'll do it at family gatherings. We just might as well be honest about the fact that a lot of times it's done out of routine. You go to places that are just bent on tradition. It's straight out of routine. It is the Lord's Prayer, and it's it to the last word, but it's not out of the deep convictions of seeking the Lord. It's like, okay, right here in the program, we got to interject the Lord's Prayer. So we're just going to pray because this is what we're supposed to do right now. Who's to say, at some point that if the scriptures say, not the scripture, but the agenda says, okay, we're going to do this first, we're going to open up with this first, and then we do the Lord's Prayer. Okay, what if the Spirit hits in the Lord's Prayer is the first thing you open up with? Do you quench it like sometimes people do out of tradition because they got to stick to the program, or do you just let it have its way? And when somebody's praying that Lord's Prayer in earnest, y'all know everybody feels something. If the Spirit is in you, there's just that something. Y'all know, everybody know what that something is, but when that Spirit is being, when it's being sent out and reverberated, it's like it. And you can hear the virility in that person's desire to hear from God at that time when he or she is really praying to the Lord. And sometimes, and I'm saying that we know we're dealing with the formal Lord's Prayer, but we're just talking about a prayer in general. It's like okay, well, this person is, it's like you feel, we say something and we know what the something is again, but we know when it may be somebody that's just praying and you feel nothing. It's just like those are words. We're done with the Lord's Prayer. We're done with this prayer and we're going on. But when that certain person that's longing and desiring for something, you feel it. The Spirit catches on and it touches this person, that person, everybody who needs it, because when it's being recited, somebody may be going through some of the same things. And when you're doing that, you're praying with purpose. It's like you asking for what matters. You know, a lot of times we pray and it's like we got to understand, it's like the prayer to me should be, Lord, I want to hear from you. Lord, I need to hear from you right now. So when I'm praying, I don't care who's what, who's where, and what they're doing. I need to hear from you in my prayer. You know, and if somebody happens to be around and hear it, that's fine. But I'm not praying to them. Lord, the prayer is to him. And when it's to him, like I said, it goes out and it manifests itself. So anybody have anything they'd like to say right here? You know, but the key is the title's asking for what matters, what really matters. Let me say it like that. And that's one word I didn't focus on. What really matters. You know, what truly, truly matters. And like I said then, a lot of what truly matters in many cases is wanting to hear from him, needing to hear from him, needing to know that, Lord, do you have me? You know, needing to know, have I heard you right? Have I been living to the point where I can hear you myself? He didn't say perfectly. We can't stress that enough. So many people feel like this perfection is the key. He didn't say that. But are you striving to the point where it's like, yeah, I'm messed up. I know I'm messed up. But I can still hear from you because you said in your word that you never leave me nor forsake me. When we come at him with that, it's like, Lord, I'm quoting your words to you. You know, how many times do we as parents, you know, for those who are parents or in a parental position, have your kids to come back and say something that you said, and even though you said it, you don't really want to, you know, it's like, well, I kind of did say that. You know, it's a mama, or dad, you said if I cleaned my room, if I did this and I did that, you were going to let me go to the movie Friday. And in your mind, it's like, okay, your grades were messed up, but you didn't throw the grades. We forgot to throw the grades. You know what I'm saying? Because children get us on technicality. I mean, but sound like experience, but but it's like they would get us on technicalities, and it's like they will call you out and say, well, you said, you know, if you go look I will wash the dishes every night, my room was clean, you didn't have to say nothing to me, I did all my homework, I did this the whole week. But, you know, that seed that you told that you didn't want them to have last week on the progress report, you didn't say nothing about it now. You know, but they call us out when you say, well, you still got a seat. Well, they're going to come right back. You didn't say nothing about the seat. We tried it, haven't we? Didn't really work, but, you know, with the parents having compassion, it's like, oh, well, kind of got a point. And they'll you know, they'll go with it. You know, I you know, y'all know I'm always talking about my class, my students, and I told them some stuff, and I said, well, you know, y'all do this, and everybody's here this week. You know, everybody comes every day. That was just kind of a little incentive to just get kids to want to be at school. It's like, you know, 1 week I had perfect attendance the whole week, and I said, you know, by that Wednesday, I said, if everybody show up, I got a little party for you on Friday. Everybody showed up. And I had to stop by Dollar General that Thursday night, or that Friday morning, because I got reminded that Thursday evening, look, Mr. Taylor, if everybody be here, you know what you said. I said, yeah, I know. And I said, I think everybody's gonna be here. And like I told you, I had one little boy, he's 7 going on 77, because he is just, you know, he has wisdom, you know, he's a really good child. But it's like, he'll be the one to call you and tell you exactly what you said. Tell me. So I was like, I can't slip with him. But that Friday I got there, it was like they were looking for it. They looked around. They basically had taken attendance for me. Before I could even get in to take attendance and post it in the computer, they had sat around and counted the room and said, Mr. Taylor, everybody here. I said, y'all still got to take the test and everything today. But you said if everybody get here the whole week, we were going to have a little party. You know, And shouldn't we be able to do God like that? If the children are so innocent with us, shouldn't we be able to do God like that? Not saying that we're disrespecting God, not saying that we're telling God what he's going to do for us, but if we call him on his word, that's all he wants us to do, because if we have a relationship, it's easy for us to do that. If we have that relationship with him, it's easy for us to pray to him, ask him for stuff, and call him on what this word said, because we've been in it. But the key is you have to be in the word. You have to study the word to get that understanding of what this word says and what he says to us through this word. So, but at this point, does anybody have anything they'd like to interject? All right. So, well, if somebody would read, like I said, we know the Lord's Prayer, but if somebody would read Matthew 6, verses 9 through 13. Well, hold on just a minute before we do that, but if somebody would be ready to read that, I'm going to read these. There were some inquiry questions that came up. I'm sorry, I get my words right once again. Opening inquiry questions. And it said for us as a point of discussion, and this is for us right now, share what matters most to you in your life. If somebody wants to throw in right now, what, just give your opinion. I mean, there's no, it's no right or wrong answer right now, but it's like, what matters most to you in your life right now? Anybody? You got me, Lane? Okay, go ahead. Hmm. Yeah. Yes. 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 Yeah. Yep. Oh yeah. And that goes back to something that we opened up with a minute ago. Uh, what really matters, putting the big rocks in first. Worry about those significant things, and then the insignificant things. They have a place in there, because not only does God give us what we need, but He's a God that loves us enough to give us what we want also. And so, when we talk about what's more important, like you said, family, and it's no one thing. I don't think it is, but we have family. We have our health. We have, our relationships. We have our just the freedom to come here. The freedom to be able to go about and do the things um, that we can do on a day-to-day basis without having to have somebody else to do it for us. When you get up every morning and nobody has to get you up. Nobody has to tell you, to brush your teeth or to eat. Nobody has to tell you, or even furthermore, nobody has to do these things for you. When nobody has to do that, it gives you that appreciation in life that you just learn to just sit back and say, you know what, I'm thank you. That's all you can say. I've shared numerous times, when my dad was going through Alzheimer's, um, it was bittersweet. It was both saddening and joyful at the same time for me, because seeing my dad, go through this state of mind. This is a man who, my brother and I were just talking the other night. This is a man who I thought could turn the whole world around at one, with his hand. I mean, he could do no wrong. He was the hero. He was the one that, when people started talking about, their dad, my story was better. When they talking about, man, my dad was able to lift this. And I'm like, I had to one up. Well, my dad can lift this, your dad can lift 400 pounds, mine can lift 500 with one hand. I mean, it was like the story had to get better. But at the same time, to see my dad be from here, to back to a childlike state. But the appreciative part was the fact that while he was here, I could still go there and I still had a dad. I could sit there and look at him, even though he might know me, might not know me right now, and 5 minutes later, he knows who I am and have a full conversation with me. But nonetheless, when I could sit there on the couch and just listen to him, look at him, even though, some of the conversations, it was like, well, y'all know how, dementia and Alzheimer's patients are. Your conversation is kind of sporadic, but it was just the benefit of knowing, okay, Dad is still here. And when that was time to take him to the doctor or do the, don't question nobody, don't ask anybody else. I would tell my mom that, and I even tell her that now. Don't ask anybody else to do anything. That's why I'm here. We can't ever repay them. So when you look at the fact that we still have family, and like I said, in most of our cases, parents, for those of us who still have our parents, that's a blessing. And that's a very important thing, in all our lives, I think. So, but like I said, that may, and there are numerous things that matter. But those are just some of the things that are, stated. And if anybody else have anything that they want to say right now, please feel free. About something that is important, that matters most to you in your life. And the key is this relationship with God. Knowing that we can have a relationship with Him. I think that kind of is the one that's above all, because once again, that's one of the big rocks. If we got that relationship with Him, we will have a relationship with others. If we have Him in us, we'll treat others the way they need to be treated, and we need to be treated as well. And all those other things will just kind of come in and fill in around those big rocks. All right. The second inquiry question was, how do you care for or treat that which matters most in your life? So, how do we care for or treat the things that matter most in our lives? We cherish them. I mean, we do. We cherish them. We put them at a point of significance. And when we put them at that point of significance, it's like, we just get to that point where it's like, this matters, and I'm gonna make sure that this is done to take care of that, or make sure that this is done to to give attention to that thing that matters most in our lives. And the last question, do anybody have anything they'd like to say on that, on how do you care for or treat that which matters most in your life? All right, if not, the last inquiry question is, when people offend you, and this is the one right here, so I'm gonna say this one loud. When people offend you, how do you act, and how long do you hold grudges? Go ahead, Paul. I saw that. I saw it, Paula. Go ahead.
I usually just shut down.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like confrontation.
Yeah.
So I just shut down.
Mm-hmm.
I forgive easily.
Yeah.
But I don't forget.
Mm. No. No.
But I don't think it'll mess up the relationship to the point where we can't be close.
Exactly.
Yeah, I just basically just go out
Mm-hmm.
to myself.
Yeah. And that's go ahead, Bridget.
Sounds like you ever been in a position where you had an opportunity to pay somebody back and yet
Mm-hmm.
it just ain't even worth like
Well,
it's almost because I realize I can't change the way you treat people.
nope.
Like you have to, it's like a different view for me, knowing that, I could see, with my son, I could see, on that line, him being, all this
Yeah.
other stuff that I could see,
Mm-hmm.
but not knowing the plan that God I'd rather pray for you
Yeah.
than to do that because I can't fix you.
Well, and that right there, and I'm not saying that I'm not claiming to have the answer to everything, but that's right there is when you know you have a relationship with God. Because when you know you have the upper hand and you know, okay, it's my time, but then that conscience kicked in and that spirit kicks in and say, you know what, vengeance is mine, saith the Lord. And a lot of times, here we go again, when we start saying that we're going to go get somebody back, we got several ways we'll do it. We want to sit God on people, but we'll also get it at a point where we feel like we can do God's work. So guess what? If we're doing God's work, God steps back and says, hey, you go ahead, you got it. Because the way I'm going to handle them is going to be different. And Ms. Barbara, I think we discussed that, you said that Sunday. Because if you we don't give God time to work most of the time. We really, we get to the point where, and I know I used the analogy some year or so ago, but here it is, this is the problem, and I have this problem, and I prayed to God, and Paula, I know you're not God, but I'm going to use you in this analogy, I prayed to God and like, Lord, I got this problem, and I can't handle it. This problem is too big for me. So here I am, I'm coming here to the altar, and I'm going to lay it, and I put it in God's hand. But I get up and I start feeling better. Lord, I think I got it now, Well, I didn't give God time to do nothing with it, but here it is. If this heavy burden that I have, I'm back holding this heavy burden again, which I said I was going to give it to him. So I talked it to him, but I didn't give it to him. I went there, but when it gets to the point, it's going back to asking for what really matters, when that prayer becomes earnest and true and personal. Now Lord, I'm gonna give it to you. I'm praying and I'm giving it to you, and I'm done. Lift it off me, clear conscience. Don't look back. I don't want it. I've given it to you, and guess what? God's way of saying, hey, I got this. You just get on about your life, because what's in here, I'm about to fix all that. You were trying to fix it. And here's God. If God had let me say, God does have, I feel like he has a sense of humor, because if God would tell us, it's like, well, if you gave it to me 3 weeks ago when you started asking me about it, I'll fix it then. You're wondering why you have trouble. That 3 weeks of trouble that you went through because you did it. You asked me, you prayed to me 3 weeks ago, and then you picked it back up 2 days into that 3 weeks. So you didn't give me time to fix it. And here we are, we want to take those same burdens on ourselves and do his work and do what we know is fair. Now, in the back of our mind, yeah, I know what's fair and what's right and what's wrong, and I know I've done you right. So why have you done me wrong all the time? Why are you doing me wrong all the time? We just have to leave them, like you said, Bridget, put them in God's hand. Because here's the other issue. Even though we hadn't done that wrong, we've done something else wrong. So if we don't forgive them, how is he going to forgive us? If I have not forgiven the person, and we know that that's in the Lord's Prayer, so we're going to get through that. But if I have not forgiven that person, how do I expect God to forgive me for all those mess ups that I had? Why? Let me ask the other question. Why do I expect God to forgive me if I hadn't done it to somebody else? If Paula might have made a mistake and said, okay, well, I bumped your car or whatever, and I didn't forgive her for it. I'm ranting and raving all the time, every time I see her, and it's 10 years later. And it was a fender bender that nobody could see but me. But I'm ranting and raving. She hit my car at Walmart. Well, okay, Walt, you got insurance. If I get out and say, to her, she has insurance, she might say, well, hold on, let me call my insurance company. If I get out and I'm going all off on her, then hey, it's like, okay. Once again, you're kind of like me, Paul. I mean, when it comes to confrontation, I'm one of those people who I don't like confrontation, and usually when I say something, I say it. I say it in calm. I say it as calmly as possible, and I walk away. I'm done with it. I'm totally done with it. If I apologize to you, and if I come to you and say, hey, I sincerely did not mean what I did or what I said, or what, I'm done with it. So, but I'm kind of a shutdown in the sense that I don't want to escalate the conversation, or shut down in the sense that sometimes, if you've stated and I've pleaded my case to you, I can walk away clearly because I'm done with it, you know. And it's for that reason, not to be cowardly, because a lot of times we don't realize sometimes it just serves us best to close our mouth sometimes. You know, a lot of times we'll talk ourselves into $1 million and talk ourselves out of 2 million. You know, I mean, it's amazing. You know, sometimes we will do that. So sometimes just everything don't need to be, spoken on all the time when it comes to stuff like that, because once again, when we look at it from the spiritual aspect, we don't know how much we talk death on ourselves. And I don't mean a physical death, but we're going to look at what the scripture says. It said life and death is in the power of the tongue. Not so much like instead of physical death all the time, but it's like, you have these people, and we shared this the other day, who complain all the time, who see the glass half empty as opposed to half full all the time. So that pessimistic attitude, you might have all the intentions in the world, but if you're a pessimist and it's like, oh Lord, nobody want to be around you, and you wonder why you're depressed all the time. You're depressing yourself. You wonder why your blessings are not coming, because you cutting them off with the fact that, like you were saying, Bridget, had you just went off and just said, I'm going to tell you what God said, I'm going to do this for you. Well, we start throwing the Bible, just a minute, Steph. We start throwing the Bible and we start saying, well, if you did this to me, I'm going to handle you like this. You just messed yourself up. And a lot of times, here's another thing. People run their mouth too much because the element of surprise is the biggest weapon we have. If I tell you what I'm about to do to you, guess what? You're going down the road and prepare for me. If I tell you I'm mad with you, a lot of times, and I'm not trying to be sneaky or anything, but a lot of times I might be upset with a person and they'll never know it. I'm not going to mistreat them. I'm not going to act any differently towards them, but I know what you said. I know what you did. But guess what? I'm going to still love you anyway, because God loved me. He know what I said and did. So, and that's what we have to get to, that point of understanding. We are in his image. That's what he said, right? All right, Ms. Barbara, and then Steph.
Okay, I had to learn this, and it's always a learning experience when we be like interviewing people at work.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody has drama going on. So we are asking you, how do you handle drama, and stuff. And so this particular guy, I was very surprised because he was young. He said everything don't need to be confronted. And, stuck out in my mind. Every time something come up, that don't mean that you got to go confront this person and this, that, and all that. That really, kind of change some things.
Mhm.
You have to grow into that.
Yes.
It don't come easy.
Mhm.
Because people will push you to
Yes.
the corner, whatever. And you're gonna try to come out.
Mhm.
But when this guy, he said everything don't need to be confronted. I'm going like, okay, that means that every time somebody do something, that don't mean you got to go back to that person and say, well, why you do this, and that.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes we are not aware of some of the things that we may do, but
Mhm.
then it can be the person that may say, well, she talked to me or she got smart with me, whatever. But because I have had it to happen,
Mhm.
I don't really consider getting smart with people, but sometimes people just don't like me.
Yeah.
So I would go back to that person. I'm not, like I tell people, I don't have a problem with telling nobody that I'm sorry.
Exactly.
But it's just that everything that happens in our lives, like you were saying,
Mhm.
that don't mean you got to go back. And just like she said, you just shut down. But sometimes you shut down and you wonder why that person came off on you like
Mhm.
that.
Mhm.
And it kind of do a little bit to your character,
Yeah.
and stuff, but then you don't let that bother you.
Nope.
And that's like you say, you put it in the hands of the Lord and let God handle it. You don't
Mhm.
have to handle it.
Yep.
And so you have to grow into it. It
Yes.
takes time. And like Pastor said, sometimes, every day you ain't home.
You ain't saved all the time. I mean, you ain't in the spirit every day.
Like I said, I leave my job.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
we just go try to do performance and people don't even know
Mhm.
sometimes, like you say, when you mad or have a problem and you just still treat them right.
Mhm. Yes.
And they can be taking it out on you.
Yes.
You know, and
Yes.
stuff like that. So I had to, you know, it's just so much going on. I say with myself.
Yes.
And being in the position that I am and working with people, you don't know how people come to work at 4:30 in the morning, cause that's the time I have to be at
Mm-hmm.
work. You know, they come in there with a problem and you can say something and they can explode.
Yes.
Cause it didn't happen before,
Mhm.
you know, so you have to be kind of mindful of how you treat and talk to people.
Yes. Yes. Steph.
Well, how I handle my burdens is that, I've learned to ask for peace. When I give it to him,
Yes.
I said, Lord, give me peace of mind
That's it.
to just live my life
Mhm.
and just let you handle it. Because I know you're going to, because you did it so many times.
Yes, Lord.
I ask for peace.
Mhm.
So I do that for me.
And what did you say? He said peace surpasses all understanding, didn't it? When you have peace about everything, well, first of all, peace about anything, you're in a good standing. But when you can be at a point where you understand that you need peace in everything, you'll take everything from a totally different approach. I know I shared in Sunday school, and I don't know whether I shared here in Bible study or not, but there was some years ago, there was a lady who I was just standing, and y'all know me, I'm a talker, I'm a friendly person, and I talk to anybody, because you never know who you're gonna need. Sometimes building simple relationships like, hey, how you doing, in a regular conversation, that may be that person that saved your life just through a common speaking, because I've had it to happen. And not necessarily to save my life, but I needed somebody's help. And the man we happened to just see each other at the service station one day, spoke, talked nothing about it while I'm pumping gas on one side, he's pumping on the other side. We just had a conversation going. And went on, and it was like he was in need. And I passed by, and you know how the Lord just kind of convicts you, like, okay, you need to go. Didn't know who we were. I saw the vehicle, but I didn't know who. And it was like I was passing going one direction, and the Lord said, turn around and go help this person. Got there and realized, this is the man that a few weeks ago, we were talking at the service station. He's a nice guy. We sat on the side of the road and tried to figure out what was wrong with his vehicle. And I was like, hey, he was like, I don't want to hold your time. I said, no, we good. So we got the vehicle, we got it moved, and actually we got it pushed to a point where there was a nice hill, and it rolled down to the main road that goes to his house. And it was like, I'm talking about a mile. He was like, if we get it, I said, look, I said, put it in neutral. We're going to get it to that hill right there. When we got it up that hill and got it to rolling, it was like, oh, we downhill, literally. And like I said, literally about a mile, and it rolled all the way down to the little service station. And he was like, well, I stay right there. He said, my best friend is a mechanic. And he said, I called him while I was rolling down the road, and he'll be over here. So literally, the guy came there a few minutes after we got there, and I just rolled on. He said, you actually came behind me to check on me? I said, yeah. I said, yeah, why not? And it's amazing how simple stuff like that, we don't understand how that is significant. But anyway, this lady, she was there. She said, I was standing talking, and she said, you run your mouth too much. You make me sick. And that's exactly how she said it. I looked at her, and I laughed, and I kept talking. But when I turned around, I was like, you know what? I said, well, here's the issue. I said, you're the one with the problem, not me. And I said it just like that. And she looked at me kind of dumbfounded. And I went on about my business, and I passed her office. And she was sitting in at her desk, and she was crying. I was like, okay, is she okay? And she was literally sitting in there crying. And when I called, one of her friends that came in, she called me. And when I walked in the door, she jumped up and she just hugged me, and she said, I apologize. I said, for what? She said, would you please forgive me? I said, for what? She said, for what I said. I said, you were forgiven when I left there. I said, that's why I said, told you the way I had it. I was at peace when I left. When we were at that situation, when I walked away, my peace was done there then. I said, and I told her, I had to explain to her, I said, that's what you see of me. I said, I don't want to change nothing about you. So why would, you have a complaint about me? I said, this is who I am. I'm not making excuses and saying that I can't change some things, that I shouldn't change some things. However, this is who I am. I am that person who likes to see other people happy. I like to see other people smile, So, but I think it got to her, but that was one example of how God can handle things. Now, had I sat there with her and gone back and forth, I would have played right into the game that Satan wanted to use her for. It would have taken me out of character, probably would have taken her more out of character, and nothing would have been resolved. But when he gave the peace to say, walk away, I got it. We're done. We don't have to worry about it. All right? Anybody have anything else they'd like to say? And the last part about that was holding grudges. How many hold, how long do we hold grudges? Used to. Well, I won't say that. I've held some grudges a little bit, but that wasn't really in my character to hold a grudge. Sometimes you hold a grudge just because your friend's holding a grudge when you growing up. This person don't like that person, but these are your boys and these are your girls, and like, okay, we don't like them, okay. But then I got to realize that person didn't do nothing to me. Okay, and if that's you and them that's having an issue, that's not me. We're friends, and honestly, me and your enemy are friends, because they hadn't done anything to me. But we have that's running rampant right now, where so many times people want you to dislike everybody else just because they dislike them. And that person has done nothing to you. Go ahead, Steph. Thank you. Thank you. Yes. All right. Now, Matthew 6, the first part of the Lord's Prayer, 9 through 13. If somebody...
After this manner, therefore, pray ye, Our Father which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done in earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom and the power
and the glory.
forever.
Amen. Think about, let's break down each one of those. The first one, who are we acknowledging? We're acknowledging him first, right? We're addressing him specifically. Our Father which art in heaven. So you coming at him with a reverential respect to say, Lord, my Father, I come to you, And then that verse 10, it's well, of course, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. So we're at the point where it's like we want to be able to treat people here on earth as if it's in heaven. We want to have heavenly characteristics right here. So basically, what I got, let your kingdom reign here in the midst of all of this chaos and mess that's going on. And that makes sure that the peace, the love, the compassion, the help, the reverence that's done in heaven will be done here also. And when we seek him in that way, it's like we're looking for the thing that really matters. It's like, Lord, is it your will? Am I doing your will? Am I doing it your way? At least as close as I can get to the way that you want me to do it. In verse 11, we covered that one on the things that we're thankful for. Give us this day our daily bread. Thank you for waking me up this morning. Thank you for giving me my health and strength. Thank you for giving me peace of mind. Thank you for giving me love. Thank you for giving me joy. Thank you for giving me the spirit of forgiveness of others. And I know we're going to get that's a little bit more down in there, but this covers that also. And the next one, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. There we go. There's none unforgiveness, where somebody wronged me 45 years ago, and I ain't forgave him yet. But I come to church every Sunday, and I pray, and I know the Lord heard my prayer. He hear my prayer every Sunday. He hear my prayer every day. But you haven't forgiven that person from all that time ago. What did they do? I don't know. I mean, I just know that. I just know I didn't forgive them. They did something wrong, and that's the key. They did something wrong to me a long time ago. You gonna hold on to that, and you gonna let somebody else send you to hell? I mean, because if we're walking around not forgiving everybody who has done something wrong, is that on them or is it on us? It's on us. I can't. It's like they say. It's not as far as what how people respond. It's not what you called, it's what you answer to. If they can do and say whatever they want to me, however, that's on me to forgive them. I can't control how they treat me, but I can control how I treat them. And that's something I know we've heard, it's been cliche, but it's so true. Somebody can do you any kind of way, but it's up to you to respond. And like you said, Bridget, they can do me all kinds of ways, but I'm going to respond with love. God speaks of constant forgiveness. And I will forever go back to this lesson that and I wish I'm going to go back and find it, but we were talking about in Sunday school, and when Deke talked about the fact that, you got to forgive a person who you know that wrong you. And it's like, I forgot who asked that question. They were like, Deke, what if I do nothing wrong? Deke said, forgive them. And that's what the word spoke of. That is literally what the word spoke of, because that's what that lesson was speaking of. And it's like, okay, I didn't do anything wrong to them, but still I have to forgive them. Well, Jesus didn't do anything wrong to us. We wrong him all the time, and still he forgives us. Yes. Yeah. Yep. And honestly, to me, that leads into another state of it. And it's like when you're constantly doing something, you have that hate, and no matter what happens, you will never get over that, and you constantly want to be in that state of mind. To me, that's when the word speaks of that reprobated mind. You get turned over to it, because when God takes his hands off you, that's a pitiful place to be in. When he takes his hands off you, that is a very pitiful place to be in. When you can't seem to get nothing going. And we look at what he said in his word, all the fiery darts that are against you, he said, no weapon formed against us will prosper. But when he takes his hands off you, those weapons are going to prosper. Those fiery darts are going to come, and they're going to hurt. They're going to sting. They're going to humiliate. They're going to do all these things. But as long as he has his hand around you, his hedge of protection around you, people can say what they want. They can do what they want. You'll still be at peace. That peace. In the midst of everything that's going on, and people wonder, I don't know how you work down there. I work down there the same way you work at your job. Oh, they so messy down there. They got all this going on. No, I'm at peace. They got mess going on, but I'm at peace because I go to do my job. Some stuff has come up, but guess what? I don't worry about it. When it comes, God, there you go. That's the time you sit God on. Here you go get it. I can't handle it. I know I can't. You start loading him up with the stuff. That's all he wants. He's sitting there waiting. Come on, baby. Come on. So, daughter, son, give it to me. I got it. Mm-mm. Yeah. And they look at you like, how can she smile and all this going on? Because I'm not a part of all that. I'm one of the people. I'm one of those naive people, if you want to say that. When people have this clique going on at work, at church, wherever, I don't want to know I don't even care. Did you know such and such were mad with each other? I don't know. No, I don't. I don't want to. How you not know that? Because I don't delve into that. That's not my business. If them and them are mad with each other, let them hash it out. You know, that's one of the little examples I use with my students, and I had little, you know, this is becoming to be that time of the year where the sap is about to rise and all that kind of stuff. So, you know, these last couple of warm days, you can tell it. And I had about 4 or 5. He said I had this. I'm like, well, do you? Do you have that, or are you this person? He called me ugly. Are you ugly? And I said, well, go ask him why he called you ugly. And the little girl who did it, she went right back over and asked him why he called her ugly. And he came to me. This child came to me then. I'm like, y'all don't want me to handle it. Y'all need to handle it. So she went and asked him. He didn't answer her. He came to me and said, Miss Taylor, I didn't call her ugly. I said, I didn't say you did. I said, but he said, I said, no, you tell her what you said. And I said, if you did say something, I said, you just apologize and y'all talk among each other and fix it. Because if I fix it, both of you going to get in trouble. Oh, they both left me like 2 scalded dogs running away. They went back to the corner. They went to their group. And she came back over there. She's like a little mama. She said, he told me he got it right. He told me he saw it. I said, well, good. But it's amazing. You know, they're so funny. But children are a true reflection of what we should be, literally. They really are. They're raw. They're brutally honest. If you don't want to know the truth, please do not ask one. All right. And the last one for that outline is, and lead us not unto temptation, but deliver us from evil. We've already covered that one. For thine is the kingdom and the power and the glory forever. Amen. That was it. I mean, what else can we do? Now, here's the second part, verses 14 and 15. If somebody would read that. Do we need to say anymore? If you expect to be forgiven, you must first forgive. I mean, that's a simple equation. There's nothing fancy, nothing complicated about that. Basically, do unto others as you would have them to do unto you. If you want to be treated a certain way, treat somebody else that same way, the way that you want to be treated. You know, and I know we've heard this numerous times, but it was so befitting, you know, with the lesson, you know, actually, like I said, these are basically the Sunday school lesson, but it was so befitting in the discussion and the timing of what I felt like, you know, we need, well, not what I felt like, but what the Spirit led me to convey tonight. And it's like, somebody need to hear it, you know, even myself. You know, a lot of times we'll hear things one time and we get one meaning. We'll hear the second time and there's a totally separate meaning, a totally different perspective. And we need to be able to do that. And this lesson right here, though it's the Lord's Prayer, though we've heard it basically all of our lives, and most of us, the majority of us have probably heard these same virtues all of our lives. But it means something when you can discuss it and just kind of get other perspectives on it. All right, and I'm going to do the devotional, and the devotional that went with the lesson was, like I said, Psalms 40, verses 1 through 17. And if somebody would like to read that, you can go ahead and do so. It's fine. I know we all need to hear it, but the title of it is "Desire to Do the Will of God." The desire to do the will of God. It didn't say the desire to do what I want to do. It didn't say the desire to do what people around us wanted to do. It said that desire to do the will of God. And once again, that goes back to the title of the lesson. Ask asking for what really matters. We can ask for what we want from God, but do we ask for what he wants for us? That's what really matters. Lord, because he said the plans that he has for us is to prosper us. He didn't say hurt us, belittle us, embarrass us. He said his plans are to prosper us. And when we know that, there's not a parent, let me bring it home in a physical sense. There's not a parent in here that don't want their child to prosper. There's not a single parent. However, what those children want are not necessarily, oh no, let me rephrase that. What those children need from us are not necessarily what they want from us. They don't want to hear, you need to do this, you need to get your ducks in a row, you need to line your eggs up. They don't want to hear that side. That's the side they want to tune out. That's the side they don't want to go by. But that's the same way God is about us. We don't want to hear those big rocks, those needs, those things that really matter. We don't really want to hear because they're uncomfortable. We want to hear that good side. We want to hear that, yeah, I got my plan. I got plans to prosper you. Well, you didn't tell me how I was going to get there. Well, he's telling us how, but that's the part we missed. We were asleep during that class, during that time that he was telling us that. We shut our ears on that part. He wants us to prosper just as much as we want our own physical children to prosper. And you do so by seeking the most important, most significant things. And in your seeking of those significant things, you want to hear to see what is his will. That's the question that you ask. Lord, what's your will? Not my will, but thy will. Let not my own will be done, but let your will be done, Lord. You know, his plans to prosper us comes through his will. All right? And once again, our desire to do the will of God. Does anybody have that? Psalm 40, 1 through 17? Or would y'all like me to read it? Psalm 40, 1 through 17, the entire Psalm 40. You do half and I do the other half.
I waited patiently for the Lord. He turned to me and heard my cry. He lifted me out of the slimy pit, out of the mud and mire. He set my feet on a rock and gave me a firm place to stand. He put a new song in my mouth, a hymn of praise to our God. Many will see and fear the Lord and put their trust in him. Blessed is the one who trusts in the Lord, who does not look to the crowd, to those who turn aside to
Well, yeah. Well, it's basically everybody who laughs in your face. That was the. Yeah, yeah. So all who laugh in your face, who who is. Yeah, we say ha ha, but it's yeah.
Okay, may those who say, ha ha, be appalled at their own shame. But may all who seek you rejoice and be glad in you. May those who long for your saving help always say, the Lord is great. But as for me, I am poor and needy. May the Lord think of me. You are my help and my deliverer. You are my God. Do not delay.
What didn't we cover that? Leaving it in His hands, giving it to Him, let Him do all the vindication for us. And here's the thing: He didn't need those sacrifices and the offerings. We didn't need all those things. He doesn't require all that for us to just have that relationship, and for Him to do what He said He's going to do for us and with us. But as long as we are seeking what He did and we acknowledge what He did, and that's how the Lord's Prayer opens up, acknowledging Him, acknowledging everything about Him. And when it's at a point where seeking and recognizing all those things that He did or He's constantly doing for us, what did it say? It didn't say it would be just a certain amount. It would say it would be what? Too many to number. When we start giving thanks for Him all the time that He has forgiven us. The times that we knew we did wrong. We're doing wrong, and we did it anyway. And He didn't strike us down. He didn't even let vengeance come back on us. You knew you were doing wrong, but He still said, "Okay, now you're gonna pay for it, but I still love you." That's the kind of God we serve, and we, on a daily basis, have to acknowledge that. And have to realize that that's a gift that everybody don't have. He's free to everybody, but that's a gift that everybody does not have because of their choices and because of the spirit that they do not allow. He's not begging us to come in. He said He's standing at the door and knock. He didn't say He barged open and just kicked the door down. And the parable He used was He'll stand at the door and knock. When you open it, in other words, you invite Him in. But otherwise, if you don't want Him in, He's not going to force Himself on you. It's just like in us, again, and I know we're out of time right now, but us as ourselves, forcing Christianity on a person is the worst thing we can do. But living Christianity in front of a person is the best thing we can do. I can sit up and quote scripture and all this stuff all day. The only thing I'm going to do is make a person feel insufficient, totally insignificant, make myself feel unattainable to them because I'm knowing stuff that they don't know yet. I'm knowing stuff that it's like, okay, they and some might know, but what I'm saying is we living that life that seemingly living that life that I can't live like that. I'm too messed up. But if we live the truth of life in front of people who don't have that relationship yet, in doing so, all we got to do is live love. That's it. We live love. We live peace. We live forgiveness. We live understanding. When we live those things around people instead of just saying the Lord said and this and the other, I just drove away half of the people who might listen to me. But when they come up and see you and see you're a real person, you go to church and you still do this, you still do that. Yeah, I'm a human just like you. There's nothing different about me. Now they're destined to listen to you when you say stuff because they've watched what you do. And that's what we have to get that understanding of. And that's all God wants us to do. Live in a way so that He gets the glory. All right, and if nobody has any closing remarks or comments, if anybody have any, you're free to do so. All right, if not, we're going to close with a quick prayer. Lord, we'd just like to give praise and honor to you once again. We thank you, Father, for just giving us the knowledge of this Lord's Prayer, giving us the knowledge of how to live the Lord's Prayer, giving us the knowledge of, Father, what to ask for, what to seek when we come to you in any type of prayer. Father, we'd just like to thank you for love, for peace, for understanding. And Father, these things we sincerely ask through your Son, in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.